The preferences screen is really a conglomeration of a few different things. Upper left, you have a list of tax items, taxes that you would assign to your estimates. If you work in more than one area that they have different tax rates, assign the tax rate appropriate for the particular estimate of job you're working on. Should be always at least one tax item in this list. Same for markups. You have different markups for different customers. Put all the different markups that you commonly use in this list, and you need to have at least one markup item, even if it's zero. So if you don't have any markups or tax item assigned, and you try to print an estimate, it won't print. This will be grayed out like it's shown here. So to assign a tax, you click on the tax item like so, click the assign button for material. Again, for labor, if it's the same or different, you can use different values or the same values. Same for markup. If there's no markup, you still need to assign a zero value like I'm doing here. If you would like to have taxes and markups assigned automatically every time you create a new estimate, just click this auto button like that. Thereafter, each new estimate that you create, the taxes that you're seeing currently when you click the auto button are what's going to be assigned to the subsequent estimate. So that way when you create a new estimate, it's automatically assigning the markups and taxes you want. If you want to override those values, you can just override them by clicking on a new tax and assigning it. And notice there are 3 items for taxes for materials and 3 for labor. So if you have, for example, a statewide sales tax and another one for the county you work in, or maybe another one for municipality you work in, you can assign values for each one of those. Or you can put them all into one item and just assign the one. So when you assign taxes from the preferences screen, it applies to all items in the estimate. If you wish to exclude certain items from the general taxation here, under the tax column, for each item you put no that you want excluded. If we want to exclude certain markup items from the general markup here, you go to the labor or material screen or both and put no in the labor column and the markup column. Then that particular item would be not included in the general markup that you apply here. Okay, then there is a feature called Sync with iCloud, which allows you to share the database between multiple users. So if you have 2 or more people in your same company that do estimates, and you want them to all work from the same database, you need to set up a single iCloud account for your company, and by default, everybody gets an iCloud account. And the first 3 or 5 or 10 gigabytes, I think, are free from Apple. And by the way, the database that you put into the cloud is tiny, actually, compared to a single photograph image or even especially a video image. So whatever Apple gives you for free, if you have nothing else in that account, you will not be paying for Apple for anything for it. So, but the database is actually very tiny compared to photographs and videos. So if you're out in the field and you create an estimate and you want that to be seen by everybody else in your company, you just click the Sync with iCloud button. It goes up to the iCloud, and then the next person who syncs on his iPad, he'll get the changes that you just made, and vice versa. Okay, there's also another feature to allow you to back up and restore your database. So if you back up to email, it backs up, it takes a database and puts it into a tiny file, attaches it to an email, and sends it to the address that's in your My Company, under your My Company tab. So if you wish, you can archive your database. Every time you do a backup, it archives it, and the date and time is put in the email, obviously. So if you ever want to back up to a previous version of the database, you can do that, and just by restoring from that backup that you made earlier. Here's a tip too. Let's say you have 2 users using Estimate Master, and a new person comes on board, and you want to give him an iPad, and you want his database to be the same as yours. You just empty the database, then sync with cloud, and whatever is in the database, the last sync, most recent sync, all that data will be automatically put on his iCloud. It's that simple. Also, it's another way to roll back your changes. If, by the way, whenever you make a change, it's automatically saved permanently in the permanent store of the iPad. So if you make some change and you decide that estimate, and make a whole estimate turns out to be bogus, or you want to throw it away, just empty the database like so, and then resync, and whatever was last put in the iCloud is what you'll be putting back, and the changes you have are just lost. So that's a feature. Just keep track of your syncs, so whatever the last sync was by anybody is what you're going to get when you sync. And that is pretty much the preferences screen.